Hey, David Taub here, co-creator of NextLevelGuitar.com. Hope all's going well, and I hope your guitar journey is going famously. And today I hope to provide a little insight into the questions about, why people quit instruments, why people quit guitar, because, it really breaks my heart because, learning an instrument, whether a guitar or another instrument, is a skill that could bring you joy for the rest of your life, and if you can get past a certain stage, you become an independent learner and you will play the instrument the rest of your life, right? And it'll bring you so much joy. And it breaks my heart that so many people give up an instrument or give up guitar. The attrition rate is so high, and it may not even be any fault of their own. There might be some other factors. Think about it. I mean, no one really ever quits an instrument because they abruptly decide to hate music, right? I mean, there's reasons why, and we need to look at those reasons and to see if there's anything that can be done about it. The number one thing I want anyone who's watching this video who's thinking about giving up an instrument and giving up the guitar to think about is that it may not be you. You may not be the problem. Perhaps the problem is the teacher or where you're getting their information from. Remember that if you're practicing the right things and you're really trying and you're working hard and you're practicing, there really isn't necessarily bad students, because teachers say student do, right? So it's kind of that there's bad teachers, and there's a lot of mediocrity in the teaching world. I mean, let's be real, right? And just because someone can play guitar really well doesn't mean that they can necessarily teach guitar well. Teaching requires a totally separate, different set of skills than playing. And in my opinion, teaching is an art, and it's something that needs to be taken very seriously and developed over a long period of time, and developed into a curriculum and ways that students can become empowered and motivated and have practice of the right things and keeping it fun. And the teacher has to be able to communicate these things. Now, there are a lot of really good teachers out there, lots of them. You just have to find them. And in order to find them, it takes some work, and it takes asking very specific set of questions. And I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll put a link below I did a video on how to find a qualified private instructor, music instructor, right? And the questions to ask them and what to look for. That's a whole nother topic, but it's very important too. And I'll put a link to that below in the YouTube description box. So if you want more information on that, click on that link. One other thing, stay positive. I know it's hard. This is a very difficult instrument, especially at first. The learning curve is very steep for learning guitar, especially at first. But if you can get over that first hump and get to the point where you're playing these chords and you're changing them, it gets easier. If you could just stick with the instrument long enough, if you could just stick it out through the challenging period, if you could stick it out, you'll eventually become an independent learner, and then you'll be playing for the rest of your life. I guarantee you. You'll be hooked. It's infectious, but you have to get over that initial hump. If you're considering leaving an instrument like guitar, perhaps it has something to do with the actual instrument. Maybe it's not the right sized guitar for you, or basically getting over the physics of the instrument is a very big hump in guitar learning, right? Getting your fingers to bend into these chord shapes and being able to move and move all your fingers. These are things that take a tremendous amount of practice, and our hands aren't instantly designed to do these things on guitar. And just pushing down on the strings hard enough to fret notes, you have to build the calluses up on your hands. So getting over the physics of the instrument is a big step in guitar learning, and a lot of students never get past that point. And it is possible that you might not have the right sized guitar, or it might not be set up properly. And what I mean by that is a lot of students come to me, and often the guitars are way too big for them. They're like, it's a small body person, or maybe a younger student. They're trying to play this big dreadnought acoustic and get their arm way over, and they're in a really weird, and it's very hard to play that way, and that's just going to make it harder. Or sometimes students bringing guitars and the action is so high, the strings are so high, like you could drive a truck underneath the strings, and they have to press down so hard, and the instrument is fighting them, right? So it's so important to get the right sized instrument that fits against your body properly, that fits in your hand properly, that you're able to get your fingers around. They make smaller, shorter scale guitars. They make guitars with a little bit, narrower neck, if you have smaller fingers. They make Polar-sized guitars. They make kid-sized guitars. But whatever it is, you want to make sure you have the right sized instrument that fits in your hands properly, that's set up properly, that's not fighting you, because you're going to have enough of a fight just to get your hand to bend in these different shapes and to start getting the notes to sound out, right? Without hearing buzzing and pressing down hard enough. You don't want the instrument to fight you. If you like this video, please click the like button and consider subscribing to our channel. That really helps us, and we really appreciate it, and that helps us to keep the music and the lessons and the videos coming, right? The third thing I see often when students are giving up instruments is that they don't have any structured plan, right? There's no structured plan, there's no goals. They just want to learn how to play songs, or they just want to learn how to play guitar, but they don't have the proper steps put in front of them from a qualified instructor or from an online program. There's no structured curriculum with clear-cut goals and exact practice routines so they know what to practice. So you're practicing the right things, right? So you want to make sure that whatever program that you get into or whatever teacher you go see, they have a very structured curriculum. And you need to ask about that. If you're going to a private teacher, ask them what curriculum they provide, and ask them, is it customizable for your particular goals? And that they're going to teach you what you need to know, but combined with what you want to learn in a way that is empowering to you, right? You want to learn the genre of music that you're really into. You know, you want to learn what inspires you about guitar. Yes, you have to learn the basics. Yes, you have to learn the fundamentals, and a lot of that is the same, but the way in which it's taught is going to make it fun, right? And in the musical context that it's taught needs to be aligned with your musicality, your goals, your music that you like and that you want to play. Another reason why students might give up an instrument and quit is because they have unrealistic expectations, right? There's no way you're going to just instantly grab a guitar or whatever and start picking it up and start playing songs, right? Learning an instrument is hard. It really is. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of hard work, and getting good at it is hard. This is not an easy undertaking, but what in life that's really worthwhile doesn't take a lot of hard work, right? You want to get a college education, that takes a lot of hard work. Whatever it is you want to do in life, right? It's a lot of hard work. And know that this is going to take work, that you're going to have to be prepared to do it, and it's going to take practice. But if you practice the right things and you work hard, this is something that you are going to enjoy for the rest of your life. Another reason why you might be giving up guitar is a loss of interest. And I think a lot of that goes back to how you're learning guitar. Now, of course, it totally could be your fault if you're not practicing, and if you're not trying to put the guitar in your hands every day or every other day. You're like waiting a week, or you're just trying to cram before your lesson. It's never going to work the way, because you're always going to be behind, and you're always going to be struggling to remember what you learned last time. It's something that you have to be putting in your hands every day almost, at least in the beginning. And it doesn't have to be an hour. If you could just get in your hands 15, 20, 30 minutes, that's great. You got to be consistent, but a lot of students lose interest, and maybe it's because the instructor, again, is not giving you a proper curriculum or is not making it fun. Now, I don't want to put all the blame on teachers, because obviously there's a lot of good teachers out there, and a lot of it is you. You have to really make this happen, right? But it's very important that you get with a teacher that's going to make this fun. And parents, this is where you really have to start, finding out these teachers, these instructors, these curriculums, how is it fun for the students? Because if it's not fun, they're not going to do it. If practice is going to be a chore and drudgery, you're going to be fighting it. And I see this a lot, because a lot of my private students, I ask them, I say, well, how many teachers have you been to? And many of them are like 4 or 5, private teachers before they find the right one. Me, myself, when I was first learning, I went to 4 or 5 private teachers before I really found the right one, because there is a lot of mediocrity in the teaching world, and a lot of times you don't connect with a certain teacher, right? Or the teacher isn't making it exciting and motivating and empowering, right? So we go to teacher after teacher looking for that right one. Another reason that I find that students become frustrated with instruments is overload of trying to learn things, because we live in such an amazing time now with the internet, where you could dial up how to do anything, right? And there's so many sources out there for learning, but that can also be overwhelming too, because there's so much out there. It's like, where do I start? What do I learn? Or I see students trying to learn so many different things at once. The law of diminishing returns definitely applies when you're first learning guitar. What that means is, if you're not familiar with that, is like, just imagine like a glass and you fill it up with water. That glass you can only fill up so much. Once it gets to the top, no matter how much more water you're pouring in there, it's just going to spill out. Same thing with guitar knowledge at first. No matter how much more lessons and more knowledge you put in there, it's just going to bounce out unless you kind of digest and get to that next step of what you're learning previously, right? So you have to be careful and kind of pick one curriculum and follow it. And I'm not saying you should have to learn one lesson and you stop on that until you have it down. No, you're going to have to learn multiple things at once. How to, how to finger chords, getting them to sound good, how to single finger and play single notes, how to strum. These are all things that you could work on at the same time. But you want to keep, within your curriculum, so you're not spread out over so many different things and so much stuff out there. It's very easy to become overwhelmed, and it's very easy to just skim lessons and just take just so little bit that your foundation is filled with too many voids and holes. So be careful of that. It could be overwhelming and frustrating. And another reason why I see people put down instruments and guitars is because it's become not fun, right? So you want to make sure that you're incorporating lots of fun time in that guitar. Yes, you're practicing your chords, you're practicing your strumming, you're practicing your rhythm and your timing, and you're starting to practice your leads, right? But give yourself plenty of fun time on that guitar. Stuff where you're really not necessarily studying, but maybe you're just trying to write a song of your own, or you're trying to learn a song. Learning songs is important, and we all want to increase the amount of songs we know in our chord catalog and our song catalog so we could jam with our friends and play together with other people, maybe just sit on the porch and play or join a band. So you got to give yourself plenty of fun time on the instrument. And something I think that we can all do, and especially parents can do, is to treat music as important as other subjects, because it really is. I mean, music is a core subject, just like math, just like, English, just like language. And, you wouldn't have your kid quit math, right? So I think if we can treat it as a core subject, giving just as much as importance as other subjects and as other activities, not all of us were built to be great athletes. Some kids just don't have that athletic ability, right? So there should be just as many avenues for music as there are for athletics, for instance, But music is always the first program that gets cut from so many schools, music and the arts, right? But I feel it's just as important. And it provides, especially for children and kids and adolescents, they should have these pathways. So at least they have the opportunity. And if it sticks and if they like it, great. And if not, at least they had an opportunity to try it. Just like they had an opportunity to try, football, or try dancing, or try baseball, or try, whatever it is, field hockey, or whatever it is for your son or your daughter, or for men or women or whatever. But those avenues are there, and they're all important. The arts are just as important as any other subject, and we need to treat them that way, in my opinion. And if we do, I think they'll be less likely to quit them. People will be less likely to quit them because they're held and regaled just as important as those other subjects. So I'll put some video lessons, like if you're struggling with chord changing or strumming, I'll put some free video lessons that'll really help you with those. Give those a try. They'll really help you. Also, links, free ebooks that I put out, right? So you can have the visual of the video lesson, and also you can look at the chords or the scales on paper and see them diagrammed out. That really helps students. Thank you so much for watching our videos over the years. We really appreciate it. Take care. Remember, your guitar playing and learning is an evolution. I'll see you in the next lesson. Rock on.